Hello, I'm Susan Woods of Susan Woods Nonprofit Solutions, and thank you for your time. I'm continuing with the Black Lives Matter investigation series that I started almost a month ago to go behind the scenes to learn about Black Lives Matter chapters and to learn about the Black Lives Matter chapters and entities, and how they use the money that people donate. Again, the Black Lives Matter investigations are geared toward learning how the Black Lives Matter chapters and entities use the money that people give to them. So throughout, I'm asking the question, where is the money? Where is the money? In this video, I'm focusing on Black Lives Matter Vancouver. Black Lives Matter Vancouver, Canada. Where is the money? And this is the 17th episode in the Black Lives Matter Investigations series. So here are the Black Lives Matter chapters. And again, I'm focusing on Vancouver, Canada in this video message. So therefore, all of the chapters listed above Vancouver, Canada have results listed on my YouTube channel of the investigations. These are the chapters listed on the blacklivesmatter.com website. During the time in which I've been doing these investigations, a new chapter was added to the website, and that's the chapter from Michigan. So I added it at the bottom. Michigan Black Lives Matter is a new chapter that's recently added to the blacklivesmatter.com website under the chapters section. So let's talk about Vancouver, Canada. Here are the investigation questions that I ask for all of the organizations that I investigate, or all of the chapters that I investigate. I'm looking for leadership names, mailing address of the chapter, phone number for the chapter, the email or social media contact information, whether or not the chapter is registered with Charity Navigator or GuideStar, if it's registered with the Secretary of State's office, if it has a 501c3 status with the Internal Revenue Service, whether or not the Vancouver Black Lives Matter chapter accepts donations, and if so, how are the donations allocated? Where is the money? And if it offers financial transparency. So these are the questions, the investigative questions that I try to get answers for through my research. Now, instead of just going to the next slide and revealing the answers to the questions, I'm going to walk you through the steps that I use to get the answers. I think it gives more credibility to what I'm sharing when I show you how I get my answers. So I'm going to pause this screen and pull up the Black Lives Matter Vancouver, Canada website to walk you through the steps on how I get the answers. So just one moment, please, as I pause the screen. Thank you for your patience. Again, I think it's important to show you how I get the answers. I know some people probably fast forward through the video to get to the answers, and that's fine, but suit yourself. But I just like to walk through the steps to show you that I'm just not pulling things out of the air. So I'm resuming the page now to show you that I am on the Black Lives Matter Vancouver website. And let's take a look at the website, looking for the information that I listed in an attempt to get answers. So, working against police brutality and anti-Blackness and uplifting Black voices. This is a header on the homepage, Black Lives Matter Vancouver. And then it has a donate button, donate to Black Lives Matter Vancouver, and we'll talk about that later. So I'm going to scroll down just to read just a little bit of the information that's on the page. Who we are, Black folks and allies working in solidarity with communities seeking justice from racialized violence. Grateful to be organizing on Coast Salish territory. I guess I pronounced that word correctly. And then let's talk about what they stand for just a little bit here. What are they about? And I'm going to increase the zooming on the screen so you can read it with me. Okay. The Black Lives Matter Vancouver chapter is a cause that supports the organizing work of Black folks and allies in undoing systematic racialized violence. Black Lives Matter is a cause cognizant of the ongoing struggles of all marginalized folks, and we strive to honor that in the work we do. We center the voices of Black folks as well as other folks of color and hope to lift up those who are queer, women, trans, differently abled, poor, or otherwise marginalized. Our work is taking place on coastalese territories, and most of our organizing is currently being done on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded land of, I won't even try to pronounce these words, okay? As a small group of Black activists residing in the lower mainland of British Columbia, we want to draw attention to our largely invisibilized communities, celebrate people of color, and work in solidarity with other Black Lives Matter chapters across North America. We also want to encourage and foster the creation of other chapters within Canada. And I'm going to stop there because then it goes on to talk about how Black Lives Matter got started and who the founders are. So this is information about Black Lives Matter in Vancouver, Canada. Okay, gives you some background information about what they stand for and how they work. Okay. Now, you notice that some of the words are spelled a little differently than the way we spell them here in the United States, but that's because they are in Canada. So let's keep going. About, oh, I just read that, sorry. Let's look at some resources. Let's look at some resources. Community resources, advocacy, and legal aid. So this site, just like the Toronto site, provides resources for people to access when they need assistance in Vancouver, Canada. So this is a nice list of resources. I'm going to reduce the size of the page just a tad. This is a nice list of resources for people to access. So I think that's great. I think it's good to have a page to show resources for your target group. So that's fantastic. And I'm just scrolling through, and you can go back and scroll through and take a look yourself. I'm going to go now, though, to the frequently asked questions because I found it to be very interesting. So I found the answers, to the frequently asked questions to be very interesting. So let's take a look at them. What do you folks do? We organize events in solidarity with Black communities across the world, support Black communities here in BC, raise money for our own work supporting marginalized communities, center Black voices, lift up Black queer and trans folks, post on the internet a lot, and laugh at racist trolls. So this is what they do. Okay? So when someone asks an organization, what do you do? I believe they should provide more tangible answers. Okay? What do you really do? What do you really do? What can I point to and say, hey, they made a change here. They created a community garden. They provided after school services. They teach children how to read. Okay. They provide laptops for children who don't have money to provide laptops or to get laptops, and they need them since we are going to be doing a lot more online learning in the future. That's what I will look for when somebody asks you what you do. Things like that. How can I get involved? They provide a full listing of ways that you can get involved. And of course, the first way is to donate. They have a GoFundMe page, and we're going to go to that GoFundMe page too in just a little bit. but donate to our GoFundMe page, okay? And then other ways that you can help. Who runs Black Lives Matter Vancouver? Oh my gosh. Now, you know, I want to know the answer to this because that's the first question on the list. Who's the leader? Who's in charge? So when I click on this, it says a group of really excellent humans. We like doing normal people things like eating tacos, listening to Beyonce, and catching Pokemon. High levels of melanin presented settings. This is the most ridiculous answer I think I've ever read. Are you seriously expecting people to take you seriously when you provide an answer like this? A group of really excellent humans? This is why Black Lives Matter has no credibility, in my opinion. Things like this is just absurd. If you had a leadership structure, if you had someone at the top monitoring what is going on on the chapter levels, you wouldn't have this type of stupidity. You wouldn't have this answer. You would have a person's name and contact information as the chapter president or the chapter executive director or whatever name you want to use, but there would be someone listed there. If you were a legitimate nonprofit organization, you would have a board of directors listed here. Okay. And then there are other questions. I won't even go into all of those. Why are you not participating in the Vancouver Pride Parade? What about police officers who are gay and want to be in the march? Why do you hate cops? Why are you attacking the Vancouver Police Department for actions in the US? But there is no racism in Canada. Why is it problematic to say all lives matter or any other variation of blank lives matter? Will you be selling Black Lives Matter t-shirts? You can visit this website if you like. It's blacklivesmattervancouver.com to read the answers to those frequently asked questions. But what I want to do, like I promised, I want to actually I'm going to go back to frequently asked questions. And I'm going to go to, how can I get involved in the GoFundMe page? Well. This is Black Lives Matter Vancouver GoFundMe page. $441,117. 5.4 thousand donors. 5.4 thousand followers. 3.1 thousand shares. So let's see why they're raising money. Let's see where the money is going, right? That's one of the questions. Where is the money going? So you have $441,000. So let's see where they're planning to use this money. This GoFundMe page was created in March of 2016, so it's 4 years old. The Black Lives Matter Vancouver chapter is a cause that supports the organizing work of Black folks and allies in undoing systematic racialized violence, blah, blah, blah. We've already read that, right? What I'm looking for is how the funds will be used. Okay, here it is. Funds will be used for visual protest supplies such as sustenance, banner making material, transportation fees, and blankets, etc. Venue rental, honorariums, that's interesting, for helpers and performers, event promotion, other costs, that's like a miscellaneous cost associated with event planning, bail money if ever needed. So this is where they're giving money. This is why they're raising money. Funds will be used for these things. You know what would be nice here instead of that is to have a budget, is to have a link to an actual operating budget with itemized listing of where money is going. That would be impressive. because this is vague, especially the honorariums. That's vague. How much? We, looking at this, we can't determine how much they need to operate. And every organization should have an operational budget. This doesn't have one that I can see. So let's see if we know they're not registered with the IRS because they're Canadian. So I'm going to pause the screen to see if they're registered um, with their own Secretary of State's office. They don't call it Secretary of State's office. They call it Federal Corporation Information. So let's see if they are registered here. I'm going to go to that page and I'm going to share that page with you. The Government of Canada. Now, I looked at the same page when I did the investigation for Toronto. So there is a Black Lives Matter. It was just registered on June the 15th of this year. As you can see here, June 15th. Okay. The director is Marino Specania, I think. Specania. And this is their address. That's the director. It's only one person. I didn't know you could only have a director, but one director, but apparently you can in Canada. This is the registered office address. That's the person who started it. And from what I could tell on the Black Lives Matter website, there was not an address given for Vancouver. So I don't know if this is the same address or not. I don't know if this is the same person or not. And since Black Lives Matter Vancouver is operated by excellent humans, I don't know if Marino Specania, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not. Marina Specania, I think is how you pronounce that name. I don't know if they are a member of the humans that are running the Black Lives Matter Vancouver chapter. So there is a Black Lives Matter registered with the Government of Canada. We just don't know which one it is. All right, so now I'm going to pause the screen and go back to the PowerPoint to reveal the answers, to the questions, okay, the investigative answers. So I'm going back to the PowerPoint to reveal the answers to the questions. Just one moment, please, and thank you for your patience with me sharing. Thank you so much. So here is the Black Lives Matter Vancouver investigation answers. Come on. Okay, so here you are. Here we are. Okay, here we are. I'm sorry, jumped off. There we go. Here we are with the answers. So leadership names, no. They said they are managed by a group of humans. Mailing address, no. Phone number, yes. There was a phone number. Email or social media, yes. It's not listed on Charity Navigator or GuideStar because they only track 501c3 nonprofit organizations in the United States that's registered with the IRS. Secretary of State's filing, I'm not sure. All we know is that there is a Black Lives Matter registered with their Secretary of State's office, but we don't know if that's the one or not. It doesn't have a 501c3 status. Donations are accepted, and the donations processor is GoFundMe. Where is the money? Don't know. There is no paper trail shown about where the money is, so we don't know where the money is. Okay? So let's keep going. Comprehensive investigation results, part 1. Now, this is where I have compiled all of the chapters I've investigated so far in the results on one page. And someone suggested that I also add a line to show who processes the donations, which I did. And I thank you for that suggestion because now it lets you see how the money is at least processed. We still don't know where it's going, but at least you know how it's processed. So as you can see, I also changed the color scheme. to show all of the no answers in red. So you can see how much red is shown on each um, chapter's section. So I guess I don't need to really say anything because it's full of red. Then you know that we couldn't get answers. Red denotes no answer. I would like to point out though that Denver has an yellow R under IRS 501c3 status, and that means that Denver's 501c3 status is revoked. However, they are still accepting donations, as you can see on the next line below the R. There is a yes for donations accepted. So that means they're committing fraud. When the IRS revokes your status, you shouldn't accept donations. That's the whole purpose of revoking your status, because you don't deserve to accept donations. You don't have permission to accept donations. But the line that I added, thanks to someone who suggested it, is the donations processor, the platform that processes the donations. For example, Global Network uses ActBlue to process its transactions. The Boston chapter uses PayPal. Chicago uses PayPal. DC uses the Action Network. Denver uses PayPal. Detroit uses Allied Media Projects. LA uses GoFundMe. And Lansing, Michigan uses ActBlue. Okay, there's a part 2. Long Beach does not accept donations, so they don't have a donations processor. Memphis uses Mid-South Peace, and they also use a Cash App. Nashville uses PayPal. New York City, let's look at New York City for a moment. You notice I have R/W in yellow. That means its IRS status is revoked. However, New York City withdrew from working with the Black Lives Matter Global Network. You can go to its page. You can go to the New York City Black Lives Matter page if you can search for it. And you will see a notification that they have removed themselves from operating under the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation's so-called authority, if you will. They've decided to move on and operate independently. I would love to know the backstory to that. Philadelphia uses Movement Alliance Project to process donations. South Bend, Indiana does not accept donations, so they don't have a processor. And Toronto, Canada uses PayPal. And of course, we just talked about Vancouver, and they use GoFundMe. So these are the investigative results so far. There's going to be a part 3, of course, but I just wanted you to see where I am so far. So where do I stand as a Black woman born and raised in South Carolina, having experienced my share of racism my whole life? My first experience was as a 9-year-old little girl that I would never forget. And I'm going to experience racism until I die, because I'm going to die Black. So where do I stand regarding Black Lives Matter? Well, I'll tell you, this is where I stand. I support the Black Lives Matter statement of fact. It's a statement of fact. Black Lives Matter, of course. That's factual information. And it does make me proud to see diverse groups of people marching for change to help the Black community. I am all in favor of that. However, I don't support the Black Lives Matter movement, chapters, or entities because they do not have formal leadership structure. The founders said that they refuse to be governed by the nonprofit industrial complex. They don't want governance. That's why everything is running amok. It doesn't have any measurable goals or objectives. There are no common operational practices. Every chapter and entity can operate the way they choose. Financial transparency, accountability, they do not exist. And the chapters do not have any type of valid sustainability or long-term plans. So that's why I cannot support Black Lives Matter chapters or entities. The movement, I can't support anything about it. Unfortunately, this is a prime time to take advantage of a situation. People want to give so badly because of the racial unrest in our country. People want to give money and they are throwing money at Black Lives Matter because they are assuming, and understandably so, they are assuming that the money is benefiting the Black community when it's not. Do your homework. Look at these videos. You can see the money is not going into the Black community that you're giving. So this is why I can't support Black Lives Matter. There's so many other organizations that deserve your money. And I hope that you would do your homework and research and locate credible grassroots organizations in your community. They may not have the name recognition, but I know as someone who had a nonprofit organization in the community, we did the work. We did more work than the ones with name recognition. But nobody knew us, so it was very difficult for us to get the money. But all of our records were in order. We had tangible program descriptions, program budgets, implementation plans. We had everything organized for people to verify that we were legitimate. Look for those types of grassroots organizations. They are there and they need your help. All right, stepping off my soapbox again. What's coming up next? Coming up next is episode number 18, which is Black Lives Matter, Waterloo, Canada. We are investigating Black Lives Matter, Waterloo, Canada. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can stay in contact with me and learn not only about Black Lives Matter chapters and entities, but also you can learn how to start, fund, manage, sustain, and reinstate 501c3 nonprofit organizations, as well as learn how to write grant proposals. Click on the bell as well so that you can get alerts whenever I upload new videos if you're interested. Again, I'm Susan Woods of Susan Woods Nonprofit Solutions. Thank you so much for your time and your patience. Have a great day.